InnerQuest explores various pathways through which you can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe and apply it to personal, professional, and spiritual growth. This program, featuring accomplished practitioners, educators, and authors, is provided by Infinity Foundation, an innovative center for holistic studies and research. We invite you to share this journey with us.
Hello, welcome to InnerQuest. My name is Jay Stone, your host for today, and our guest is Lisa Schuetz. Welcome, Lisa.
Hello, thank you.
Lisa's going to talk about some very interesting and informative topics. Lisa is a Science of Cards reader and certified handwriting expert. Lisa holds a master's degree in Jungian or depth psychology. Lisa uses both birth card astrology and handwriting analysis when she consults with individuals and businesses. Lisa teaches college psychology classes and has developed a variety of workshops on many different topics. Lisa, tell us what first interested you in handwriting analysis?
Well, when I was 10 years old, I was at the doctor with my mom, with her doctor, and he was a German man. And
what kind of doctor was he? Was he a general practitioner?
Yeah, and he, being European, he knew about handwriting analysis, and I don't know why he asked me, but he said, Lisa, write out, I just wrote a sentence, and I forget what the sentence was. And by looking at my handwriting, he told me a number of things about me, and I was just captivated from that age.
Do you remember what he told about you?
I don't remember everything. A couple of things I remember was that I had a natural artistic ability, that I had a good sense of humor, and that's about all that I remember. But it was enough to, at that age, to clue me in or cue me into the fact that humans express themselves in their handwriting. And
so it's just more than just the words or content. It reveals personality traits.
Right, and it's not, I don't look at the word, I don't look at what someone writes, I don't look at the content. What I'm looking at and what graphologists look at is the movement on paper. Just as we expose ourselves in how we might shake someone's hand or what kind of eye contact we have.
What happens if somebody has a disability and it's difficult for them to control their motor movements when they write? Does that change? Well,
if there is a medical condition, I certainly find that out. Or if they're on some heavy duty, some sort of pharmaceutical drugs that might change their handwriting. So yeah, I need to know that. But even let's say someone has Parkinson's, and that would change their writing and make it very jerky. But there's still lots that you can interpret, because you're looking at margins, you're looking at spacing, like spacing between the lines, spacing between the words.
And size
and
of the
size. You're looking at where does someone start their writing on the page? Is it right at the top margin, or do they drop it down? Where does someone sign their name in relation to the body of writing?
Now, I've heard that some businesses actually send their job applicants for handwriting analysis.
They do, and I do that. I consult with businesses, especially smaller businesses that don't have big HR departments, because it's an excellent tool to kind of screen out applicants. There's businesses are getting.
What are some of the things that would show up in a handwriting analysis where you'd say, well, this applicant isn't qualified as that applicant?
What businesses typically are looking for me to provide them, they might have 3 candidates, and to be honest, what businesses nowadays are looking for, who's going to be the most conscientious out of these 3? Who will be the most reliable, who's going to be the more trainable maybe. Sometimes it might be, okay, who has better management potential? Should the job change? And so I never say, oh, hire this one, don't hire that one, but I can say, this one has more of what fits the job.
Right. You're reporting on the candidate's strengths and weaknesses.
Right, right. And sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes, the position might be for, like a real detail-minded person that needs to be working in an office. And I'll see some really strong, good sales ability in a candidate. So, then I'll be able to report that, hey, this is a great candidate.
What about jobs that don't require a lot of creativity, and then you see a lot of creativity in a person's handwriting?
Well, then, you report that. Sometimes, it depends on the position, and the people that hire me, they tell me what they're looking for, what they need in an applicant. If they need someone that can,
Now, when that doctor, did your mother hear the doctor tell you about your handwriting analysis?
I don't really remember. I don't remember that.
Because I was just wondering, can handwriting analysis of a child help a parent, a mother and a father parent better?
Oh, I think definitely, because you gain access to what's going on with the child and what thinking style the child has, what natural aptitudes the child has, what natural or challenges the child might have.
Okay. Now, is there any correlation between your Jungian or depth psychology background and education and handwriting analysis?
Yes. And I want to tell you, the reason I went into getting a degree in depth psychology was because it just totally mirrored what handwriting is. Depth psychologists will analyze dreams and projections, we say, of the subconscious mind. And that's really what handwriting is. It's an emanation from our subconscious mind. Our hand executes the writing, but the genesis of the writing comes from our subconscious mind and neural impulses from that.
Yeah, I've heard writers say, I didn't know I knew that until I sat down to write.
Yeah.
And it's all there they didn't know what they knew. It's all there in the unconscious.
Right. And it's in my workshops, I typically include this one slide where it's the handwriting of a person before the person lost both arms in a serious accident. So you have the before handwriting of what it looked like before the accident. Then you have the after handwriting of after that person lost his limbs. He learned how to write with his mouth. And once he got the musculature under control, it takes a bit to learn that. But once it was fluid in writing with his mouth, you couldn't really tell the difference between the two samples of writing.
Have you ever heard of automatic handwriting?
I think so, where people just automatically.
Well, they're in a trance. They're
Okay.
in a trance, a very deep trance, where they can
Okay.
open their eyes and speak like you see for a stage hypnotist.
Okay.
And then they write. They might be being preoccupied reading something, and they just write what's ever coming out in the unconscious.
Okay. Do they use their non-dominant hand?
No, they typically
Okay.
use the dominant hand, but I don't
Okay.
see why there couldn't be experiments with the
Okay.
non-dominant hand. Now, you also do this science of cards or destiny cards. Is it the same thing, the science of cards and destiny cards?
Yeah.
Well, tell our audience about destiny cards.
Well, a more common phrase might be birth card astrology. It's an ancient esoteric system that is really coming out more into general knowledge. And I like to say it kind of combines astrology with numerology. And
Is it a deck of cards?
Well, it's our ordinary playing cards, the origins of those cards, it wasn't to, play poker. The origins of those cards it was a calendar tracking system. So each day of the year, each birthday of the year is governed by a particular card. For instance, my birthday of February 10th is governed by the 2 of spades. And so knowing that, I can find out a lot about kind of why I incarnated, or my soul incarnated at this
So
time.
do you just shuffle the cards, and how do you go about, do you do a reading with that?
I do it, okay, so the cards are in predictable patterns, just like in astrology, the planets are in predictable positions. And to do a reading, I've got books and software of showing what the card arrangements are for every year. So it's different than the tarot cards where you're shuffling and drawing cards. There's no shuffling of the cards or that. If I could, I don't know if we can.
Here, I can hold that up,
If
and you can talk about
they
it.
They want to show that. Just
Jen?
got this image. This image that we're seeing here, this is the arrangement of the cards at everybody's birth. Okay, when everyone is born, this is the arrangement that the cards are in. And you can tell a lot by where your card is in this image.
Okay, can you use yourself as an example? So why don't you point to your card? I think you said 2 of spades.
Okay, the 2 of spades, I'm down here. And so by finding out where your original spot is at age when we're first born, we can learn a lot by what neighbors are around us. We learn a lot by the astrological influences. For instance, this is the Neptune row, so there's a lot of Neptune influence.
Is that a spiritual influence?
The planetary influence, and like here's.
Well, I thought that Neptune was a spiritual planet, but
Yeah, there's a number of different qualities associated with Neptune. People in the Neptune row have to be careful, for example, of drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
They can have that Neptunian influence where, of being, I can't think of the word. But so this is the arrangement at age 0. At age 1 for everyone, the cards get shuffled around, and it's not a random shuffling, and we don't have time to go into it. But the cards for each year of our life change position.
kind of like numerology in a different year every year.
Exactly.
Like
So
we're 2014 would be a 7-year universal. 2, 0, 1, and 4 add up to 7. Okay.
And this system really combines numerology and astrology. And so the information you can get is amazing. And what I do, with a lot of my clients is I combine the handwriting with looking at their cards.
Now, are you going to be teaching class in Infinity on this?
I did. I taught a class, I think it was a couple months ago.
Oh,
And I teach, I often do webinars, and I teach in the Milwaukee area live also. So
so if somebody's going to set up an appointment for individual consultation, so they would tell you his or her birth date ahead of time, and you would look. So what are some of the things you would talk to the person after you looked at their cards?
There's a couple things I can do for a client. Some people, they want to find out about their personality and what their life kind of map looks like. And, so we'll do a more in-depth reading.
Is it even an older person, 50, 60 years old, 70 years old?
Older, yeah, 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes people just have real specific questions, and I can look at what the cards are, too. And
What are some of the questions people ask? And I'm sure love, money, health are right up there.
Yep. Love, jobs, is there a chance for new jobs, new income coming in?
And so how does the cards help you provide some guidance or insight?
Well, because the cards get shuffled around each year of our life, I can look at your cards for whatever age you're at, and if someone's interested in, let's say, their financial things, the diamonds, the suit of the diamonds is what is going to give me information about finances. There's some good money cards and some money cards that are more, let's say, not so good. So if someone is interested in love life, the hearts cards are the cards that tell us about love life. for example, my son just got married this past summer, and in his spread, his card spread for the year, he had the Two of Hearts, and that twos are the Jungian, and hearts are, the heart. He had the Two of Hearts in his spread, and so did his wife.
Oh, wow.
In her annual spread. And now,
And how long were they dating before they got married?
they were dating a couple years, and their cards showed up in each other's spreads. Amy's card is a 8 of clubs, and her 8 of clubs was showing up in my son's spread in a pivotal part. So we can see people coming and going in and out of our lives. And kind of interesting, now they have, now that they're married and I'd like to be a grandma, I'm looking ahead in their cards to think, okay, I wonder when, there might be a grandchild. So.
And what did you find out?
Possibly next year. They had, for a new baby, it can be an Ace of Hearts, because aces are new beginnings, and hearts are, it could be a new baby. If someone is older and wondering if there's going to be a new love in their life, an Ace of Hearts could show that too.
Now, how did you get started with these destiny cards?
Being that I'm interested in kind of esoteric things, I was exposed to it a number of years ago, and I was flabbergasted by how accurate it was. When I started learning about it, I went and started looking at all the books and checking things in my life. And when I got married years ago, my husband's cards showed up in my, the year that he showed up in my life. The marriage card showed up the year that I got married. And I am divorced. The divorce card,
What would be the divorce card?
Well, there could be a couple, but typically like a 5 of hearts. Fives are kind of a restlessness. It can also
In numerology, it's a number of change.
Yep, yeah, number of change. And so like a 5 of hearts in the Saturn period, that's a more negative kind of influence.
Now, what happens could we hang cards to kind of get their influence? Like, would be a good card to hang while you drive if somebody was a little anxious or nervous or had some road rage? Is there a card that would be good for that?
I haven't really thought of that, because this system is so different than like what the tarot cards would be. This is much more concrete.
Yeah. Well, you talked about like Two of Hearts. If somebody was looking for love,
they
put like a Two of Hearts on their
That's
screensaver.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I might have to. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
Or put the Two of Hearts on, hang it up on their door or something. Make a mobile.
I have not thought of that, but that's a great idea.
All right.
Yeah, put that in the subconscious mind.
All right.
The Union of Hearts.
Now, is there anything more you want to say about how handwriting analysis reveals traits, personality, characteristics of people?
I think when I teach a lot of workshops, and I think one of the things that most people, I get some common questions, and most people are just amazed that I'm not looking at how pretty their handwriting is. It's not a penmanship exam. A lot of people don't want me to see their handwriting because they've got this erroneous judgment that, ugly handwriting means ugly personality. And to my eye, that's not true. How we move on paper tells us how we move in life. And so I'm looking at the movement on the paper.
And do you ever see like where movement stops and it becomes a metaphor for the people stopping in life?
Interestingly, sometimes people, for example, will have real wide spacing between their words. So they're kind of stopping before they start the next word. And there's like this island of white space around their words. And those people really are very emotionally isolated. They need a lot of, if they have a lot of space around their words, they need a lot of personal and psychological space.
And would you offer some advice? Would you encourage people to take this space, or would you say, hey, you need some human contact every now and then?
Well, I think just making people aware of what their natural tendencies are is helpful. And I think one of the biggest things, I think how it's helped me personally, is you realize that, people are different. And what years ago when I was a lot younger, I would personalize a lot of things. So let's say I was hypothetically in a relationship with someone that had this wide spacing, I might have personalized it years ago,
Saying
thinking,
it's your
yeah,
fault?
what's wrong with me? Why can't they connect with me?
Yeah.
And now it gives me the ability and gives others the ability to think, that's just how they are. You know, they've developed that need for some reason, for some psychological protection.
Do you ever have couples or families come in for handwriting analysis?
Couples, compatibility, you know, they want to know about each other and or might know if they're compatible.
Any interesting stories about couples you want to share?
Gosh, I can't, not off the top of my head, but I think people go away, again, the biggest gift I think it is you don't have to personalize it. This is how the person is. This, you know, quite often, I was always taught, you know, we marry someone so we have a whole brain. A lot of times, you know, females are very in touch with their emotions. Males stereotypically are very logical and more objective.
One's the head, one's the heart.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
you know, there's that initial attraction, and then, you know, they might have some difficulties. But so when people see their handwriting, because handwriting is kind of neat because you see it visibly. And, you know, I can point out to a person, this is how that person is. You know, they're just not as comfortable in their emotional life.
Okay, so when you teach a workshop, are you teaching people how to analyze the handwriting? What goes on in your workshops?
In my workshops, no, it's not a course on handwriting analysis. It's just introducing people to what handwriting analysis is, and then going through kind of the fundamentals. You know, there's some fundamental key concepts that I teach.
You want to share some of those concepts?
Sure. The first is handwriting. It's an expressive gesture, and there's congruency with our gestures. I tend to talk fast, and I also write fast, and I walk fast. The second general concept is the blank piece of paper in front of us that we're writing on, that symbolically represents our universe. And how we move across the paper and put marks on the paper is how we see ourselves fitting in our world.
Now, some languages, they write from top to bottom, like Chinese, or Hebrew writes from right to left instead
Correct.
of English, which goes from left to right. Do you ever analyze, since the content doesn't matter, can you analyze, say, Chinese or Hebrew? Or
Some people can. I can do the Latin languages, you know, if it's French or Italian, you know, I can analyze that. But it's interesting you brought up that directional quality. Here in America, we are taught to write, from the left going to the right. Symbolically, the left side of the page is our past, our security, our roots. The right side is future and others. America, you know, we're leaving our past. We're always future oriented. We're going out, you know, into the future. Hebrew, in those cultures, in going from right to left, those cultures are very concerned with their roots.
yeah, that's right.
So that symbolism is
like Confucianism, you know, it's about family piety.
So that their culture, it's
Save
more about
face.
the roots
Yeah.
and the past.
And anything about, can you tell us anything about Chinese from top to bottom?
Well, symbolically, upper, top, that's the area of the upper zone loops, and the top of the page, that's the area of the abstract, the intellect. And then as you go down to the baseline of writing, that's our line of reality. So with Chinese, I would think they're going from the abstract and bringing it down to the concrete, to the earth, to, you know.
Interesting, because you know they talk about heaven and earth and Oriental medicine and philosophy. Yeah, and you express that, you know, top to bottom, bringing it down.
Well, a lot of with the Jungians or in Freudians and in interpreting dreams, you know, it's all highly symbolic. And the symbolism it's present in handwriting too.
What about like famous people? Can you look at, say, President Obama's handwriting, or a famous actor or actresses, or even Carl Jung's handwriting, and learn insights about those?
Yeah, and that's kind of the fun part of it. You know, learning about people maybe that have passed on. For example, I have a good friend, she never knew her father. He died when she was like 8 years old, and she just found a letter of his. And so she came to me and asked, if I could share with her some information about her dad that she never knew. So historically, it's a great thing. And I always recommend to people, too, keep a record of your writing. Every year, just write, make sure you have a sample of your writing so you can go back and look at your
I'm
life.
going to recommend you to my friend who lost her father at age 5 or age 6.
Oh.
And I think she would benefit from that.
Okay, yeah, and if she knows his birthday too, you can get lots of information.
I will definitely do that. Once you complete a person's handwriting,
Mm-hmm.
what happens next? You give them all this information.
Mm-hmm.
What goes on?
It depends. Some people, if they're real motivated to change, they might know some areas that they might have to key in on. Others, they say they might want to change, and they have a hard time.
I would find people maybe more accepting of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
tolerant of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and also just having an understanding, finding a peace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Peace with that.
Yes, definitely.
All right. And is handwriting analysis always done in cursive?
This is a question I always get. Well, I don't write anymore, and there's people that say, I don't even know what cursive is. The best samples are in cursive, but our culture today, we have a lot of printers, and if I might say, that really is reflecting what's going on with our brains and our culture. How we connect our letters is how we connect our thoughts and how we connect interpersonally. And because we have a culture of printers, it's telling us that on a deep level, people really aren't connecting interpersonally. We're communicating with lots of things, but...
Yeah, is using email to communicate, is that changing our personalities collectively?
Yeah, the wiring in our brain is changing, and it's reflecting in how we are writing. But I can...
Oh, and then the shorthand people, instead of writing out words, they'll just put a C instead of S-E-E.
Yeah.
Or U, just write the letter U.
Correct, yeah. But I can analyze printing because, again, we're looking at a lot more than what you might think, such as size of margins, size of line spacing, word spacing, etc.
Well, fascinating. I think we're out of time.
Okay.
So for more information about Lisa Infinity Foundation, the Inner Quest talk show, stay tuned to the credits at the end. Until next time, wish you good health, good spirits, and good fortune. Thank you, Lisa. It's been a real pleasure.
For more information about this show, our guests, Infinity Foundation, or any of our other programs, please visit our website, infinityfoundation.org, or call us at 847-831-8828.